Hello all and welcome to another Kevin Management video. It's Art here with the best books of 2019 video. I told you they were coming this weekend. They are coming fast and hard. Now this is how I do my best books. I list the 10 best books that I enjoyed that I read. It did not have to come out in 2019. All I had to do was read it in 2019. It could not be a book that I read again, because it had to be a book that was read once, not twice. So, with that said, these are in no numerical order. There are just 10 numbers here on my list to prove that I have 10 books on the list. And we may even talk about more books than just this. But let's go from bottom to top. By the way, they're numbered, but they are not in any order whatsoever. Let me state that right away and right now. There we go. Stated it. There we go. So, the first set of books is actually a tie between two books, but I went with Rise and Grind by Damon John on the list. I also read The Power of Broke by Damon John. Loved them both. They are what fuel me in my self-improvement and self-empowerment and self-financial betterment and all that. They're books that I recommend to everybody because Rise and Grind and The Power of Broke don't speak to what it's like to be rich or wealthy or anything of that nature. They speak to the nature of where you're at financially, and they apply to multiple levels of people. That's why I love the book. The next book is a biography, Slobber Knocker, My Life in Wrestling by Jim Ross. I love Jim Ross to death. He's one of my favorite wrestling announcers. He is the voice of my wrestling childhood and the voice of the Attitude Era. And for me, the voice of professional wrestling. I enjoyed the book. It was nice to get the feel for his early years and what went on. It was a book that I made a point to. All these books are books that I made a point to go back and read and go back and do. The next book is your first fiction book in the list, the first of many, don't worry. It's The Good Daughter by Karen Slaughter. She writes poignant thrillers, multi-leveled thrillers, epically leveled thrillers, and just great, amazing stuff. The next book is Astro Ball, the story of how the Astros went from worst to World Series champions in 2017. But with the scandal in baseball that we now know, this book takes on a higher level of importance and a higher level of what's the word I'm looking for? A higher level of consciousness and a higher level of introspection. Because we don't know if this book was the only reason that they won the World Series that year. So the next book is by one of my favorite authors, and that is Delta V by Daniel Suarez. I love Daniel Suarez's sci-fi thrillers because for the most part, except for Damon and Freedom TM, they are standalones, but they are pertinent and poignant to the time in which they come out. They take a specific issue and are hard science fiction. They are hard science fiction. They are tight-knit science fiction that is just out of the realm of what actually can happen, but is in the realm of believability. And he writes a gripping story, nice dialogue, fast-paced novel, hard sci-fi. It's all the reasons he's one of my auto-buy authors that I always get when I find out he's coming out with a book. The next person, and sorry if you hear the rain, it is raining. Hopefully you can't hear it. If you do, there's nothing I can do about that. But the next book is by another auto-buy author for me, and that is Just Watch Me. It's one of the books that I ended the year on. It is the first in the Riley Wolf series. It's a Jeff Lindsay book. I love Jeff Lindsay, his dark, twisted, diabolical sense of who he is and what he is and what needs be are all, he's all about getting in the side of the head of criminals. And he wrote the Dexter series, so in that case a serial killer, but criminals, and this case a jewelry thief. And he just is good at making you want to cheer for the bad guy, but yet he still lets you know that that character is still a reprehensible human being, if I can talk straight. The next book on my list is Land of Wolves. This was the Craig Johnson, Walt Longmire series book by Craig Johnson that came out this year. I say it every year. It's like putting on it's like putting on your favorite pair of pants and just going to town. It really is. It's really amazing. I love those books. They're just high. They're high story books. They're nicely placed. They're high story books, and they're amazing. I can't wait for the next one because the cast of characters truly feels like a family. The next book in the on the list is The Sentence is Death by Anthony Horowitz. It is the sequel to The Word is Murder. It is a unique perspective where Anthony Horowitz himself is a character in his own book. It is fiction. And it is really, really good, really, really tight, really, really fun. I cannot recommend these books enough. Anthony Horowitz is just a master classman at his craft, which is writing. He wrote the Alex Rider series. He wrote several Bond novels. He wrote Foyle's War, the TV show. He wrote some Midsummer Murders. So his talent for writing extends from books. I think it's best displayed in books, but it extends from books. And The Sentence is Death is amazing. I cannot wait for the sequel to Magpie Murders, which I can't remember the name of, but he just announced it, and I'm going to try to pre-order that right away because Magpie Murders was another top-notch book. I just think, like, this man has a plethora of good stuff going on in his head, and he is yet another auto-buy author for me. So, the next book on our list, before I gush on more about Anthony Horowitz, is I Will Find You by Joe Kinda. It was Joe Kinda's autobiography. Joe Kinda is, of course, Lieutenant Joe Kinda of the Colorado Springs Police Department. He's retired, and he is the person behind the ID investigation discovery series, The Homicide Hunter. It was an amazing book. It had me going back to it. It had me diving back to it. It had me wanting more. I desperately want him to write another book. I consistently watch the show. It is intriguing to get in the minds of a true police officer. It is intriguing to get in the mind of a true Star Wars bulldog, because we see that in fiction a lot with Lucas Davenport, with Walt Longmire, and with Harry Bosch, but Joe Kenda is the real life representation of that. And my favorite book of the year, possibly because it surprised me on how damn good it was Doctor Who Scratchman. I read it last year because it came out last year. It was amazing. It was written by Tom Baker. Yes, that Tom Baker, the fourth Dr. Tom Baker. And I enjoyed the hell out of that book. Let me give you some honorable mentions that I tussled with. Rich Dad Poor Dad I tussled with. And of course, a plethora of Stephen King books. As a matter of fact, two of the Mr. Mercedes books almost tied to get on this list. So, those are my favorite books of the year that I read. What are your favorite books of the year? Either leave a link to the video you made or list them in the comments down below. And remember, if you don't have a video with your own rules, you can go by my rules. They are the best books that you read in 2019. And you know, I make videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Saturday at 12:30 p.m. Central, 10:30 a.m. Pacific, 1:30 p.m. Eastern. Please like, comment, subscribe if you want to see more. Please ding the notification bell to be notified when I upload a video if YouTube is working that day. We all know how YouTube is suspect about that kind of stuff. But until we meet again, happy reading, everybody. It was great looking back at the best books of 2019. Up next are the worst books of 2019, or my least favorite, we'll say. And I'll see you soon. And peace.